You're listening to Captain John Doe, real aviation stories told anonymously. Let's get into it. Welcome back. It's Wednesday on the Captain and John Doe podcast, and happy New Year's Eve, everybody. I'm Mindy.
And I am Kevin. Welcome back.
What a year it has been. We launched the show about mid-year. We announced it in July, and this is our episode 24. So thank you guys for being on this ride with us. We definitely did not expect to launch a podcast in 2025.
No, it's been pretty awesome. We're on the 24th episode, and we've already done a live show. We've already given out our first merch ever. We're just keep on going. We are starting to get sponsors now on the podcast, which is really, really exciting. And it's all thanks to you guys. So thank you.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that. We did a live show already. I'm literally looking at the note cards on our desk, on our podcast desk right now. I mean, that was pretty crazy. This is taken off so quickly. It just shows that there's definitely a need in the industry for more entertainment in aviation. That's what I seek out whenever we're watching YouTube or on Instagram. That's when I want to decompress and I want to watch something entertaining. And then when I'm studying for something, I search for that type of content, and I'm so happy it's out there. But I mean, even today when we were prepping for today's episode, Kevin was on the couch laughing to himself at the story submissions that you guys are submitting to us. Remember, this is anonymous aviation stories. So you guys, the listeners, are submitting stories that we read here on the show, and there's no names attached to it. So that's why we get all the juicy details.
Yes. Well, as we said, it is New Year's Eve. So any plans? Maybe? We don't really know.
We are in Florida, and we are celebrating tonight with our friends and family. So it's a nice treat for us. We have been moved to Las Vegas away from our family for several months. We don't get to go home that often. So tonight we are ringing in the new year. Unfortunately, though, not ringing in the new year with some flying, because one of the coolest things is seeing fireworks from the air. Have you ever seen fireworks from the air, Kevin?
Actually, every single night flight I have here in Vegas.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's fireworks every single night.
Where?
And I don't know. Like when I'm usually out towards Mesquite, Nevada. So like for those of you trying to think of this on the map, north of Vegas, I go out there a lot for my night cross country with my students. And there's this truck stop. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a casino truck stop. They shoot fireworks every single night.
What?
Yeah. Every night. And it's so weird seeing them from the air because, fun little fact, they don't go very high.
But when you're on the ground shooting fireworks, it looks like you're shooting at hundreds of feet in the air.
But it looks like they're going like a foot above the ground.
I wonder how high fireworks actually go.
I would say
100 feet?
100 feet, maybe 200 feet.
Yeah. Well, you know what I've heard, and maybe I'm speaking too soon. We probably should have looked this up.
Okay.
That when you fly on July 4th or New Year's or something, that you should be really careful because a lot of people shoot guns into the air.
Well, that is a thing.
Stray bullets. You don't want that coming in the airplane, which we've had a story about that.
Yeah,
remember on the ground, there was a story. You'll have to rewind. I don't remember what episode it was, but there was a story about someone accidentally shooting a gun into the floor of their Cessna, and they didn't know that there was an actual hole until they went flying. A good thing that wasn't a pressurized airplane, but I don't think we haven't gotten a story yet of someone flying and getting a bullet hole.
Yeah, that's usually not on your bingo card of things that could potentially happen, but I guess on days where there's fireworks, you might want to think about that some people might be shooting their guns in the air.
Okay, I literally just made a note for next week. If we find a good story on the interwebs, we are going to find that and share it. I wish I had thought about that earlier.
So speaking about flying, didn't we got to do some pretty cool flying in Mojo the other day. Mindy got to experience Sedona for the very first time.
Yeah, you get to go to Sedona a lot with your clients, but I have never gotten to go, and it's really close to us here in Vegas, even in our airplane, which is not a speed demon. We true out at 135 knots, 130-ish, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah,
right?
no, it was super easy flight. I mean, I say super easy flight, but there was definitely some turbulence as expected near the Grand Canyon. But tell us about your experience going into Sedona.
Sedona's awesome. I'm sure if you are in aviation, you've at least seen photos of the Sedona airport. It is located on top of a 500-foot mesa, and they call it the aircraft carrier because it looks like a aircraft ship carrier, like a Navy ship carrier, because it's just this piece of land that is up 500 feet in the air, and all it contains is the runway and a couple of little buildings. And then it drops off 360 degrees around the runway, 500 feet down into the city of Sedona.
Yeah, you want to talk about optical illusions? Just go fly there because it's a 5,000-foot long runway. It's not small, but when you're coming in, it appears that you're landing on a toothpick.
Yes, the runway looks really small, and because it looks so small, you feel high, and you're not.
No.
It's a very tricky optical illusion that you learn in PPL, private pilot license, but I very much felt it. I was so happy that we had a visual approach set in. So on our Garmin avionics, we have what's called visual approaches, and it gives us a glide slope to follow, even on a runway that doesn't have an instrument procedure, whatever. It gives you guidance to come in and land. And I was following the glide path perfectly. And also the pappies on the runway were telling me that I was on glide path perfectly, but my brain was telling me that I was high.
It just feels so wrong.
Yes.
And then that like clip is right there. So you're like, well, I better be high, right?
Yeah. And because of all the optical illusions, and I'm telling myself, like, you're doing fine, just like, stay on speed. I did end up getting like a little bit behind the power curve. Still had a great approach in landing, but normally I know my airplane like the back of my hand, and I can cruise in at 75 knots just by listening to the engine sound pretty much.
Yeah.
But I was like having to really focus coming in because of the optical illusion.
I know when we landed, I asked you, did you take it all in? Did you look around?
No.
She's like, no. I was like, yeah, that's probably smart. But I was looking all around. And
my eyes were perched on the runway number.
well, normally I'm also perched because I'm going with students and customers. So I was a little bit more lax this flight, and I got to really take it in. I'm like, wow, this is wild. I think the coolest thing from my experience of going there so often is I always brief my customers that as soon as we depart the runway environment, CAPS is available, which is very abnormal.
What is CAPS?
So CAPS is the Cirrus airframe parachute. And in the planes I fly, it's available at 600 feet above the ground. So the second you take off and the second the runway's gone, the little voice in the cockpit goes 600, which is saying CAPS is available because it literally just drops off the mountain.
Right.
Like you're 1,000 feet above the ground instantaneously, which
it
is super cool.
reminds me a lot in a way of Telluride.
Yeah.
Another really cool airport, way more difficult.
I think Telluride, I was going to say Telluride is way more intimidating.
Yeah,
Sedona.
this Telluride is in Colorado, and that is a runway that also has a much bigger steep drop off at the end of the runway. It kind of has a similar look and feel to it as Sedona, but then you're also surrounded by 12 to 14,000 foot mountain peaks.
Yeah.
And the weather in Telluride, it was bumpy coming into Sedona, but I've gotten rocked going into Telluride.
Yeah. I think on the outside looking in, Sedona seems intimidating, but like because they advertise one way in, one way out. The reality is all of the planes that we fly in the light GA world can easily do traffic patterns anywhere. Whereas Telluride is definitely, you got to be on your A game if you're going to go the other way.
Yeah. So at Sedona, there's I think it was a 2% slope gradient on the runway. So that's why they suggest one way in, one way out, because of the slope and because one way has far less terrain than the other.
Correct.
So, but no, it actually wasn't that tricky. So if you've been thinking about Sedona and you've been putting it off because it seems intimidating, it's really not. And literally on my way to the airport, I watched a YouTube video. If you go to the Sedona airport website, it's linked on the homepage. whenever I'm going to a new airport, especially one that seems tricky, I always go on the airport's webpage because that's where you're going to find a lot of great information that's not embedded into ForeFlight and Garmin Pilot and all that. Like the airport websites, especially in these mountainous areas, is such a great way to get information, like locals information. It's going to talk a lot more about local operations if there's anything unique. So I went on there and I watched this video. The video was great because it gave me an idea of what the site picture was going to be like coming in, like what type of terrain I could expect and see all these bright red canyons surrounding it. And I knew exactly what I was looking for. So once we got up on Sedona, it was really easy because I saw this video. So highly suggest to do that.
Yeah, what I liked most about the video is at the end, it emphasized make sure you read your POH on how to lean, because it is an airport that's higher elevation. You start at 5,000 feet. And that's where, if anything, the airport itself is not that hard to land at. But like, we're so unfamiliar, I guess, with operating at higher elevation airports regularly. So if you guys plan on going to Sedona, read up on leaning appropriately.
Yeah, do your homework. If you're not a pilot, what we're talking about is density altitude, which is basically how high your aircraft feels like it's at based on the actual elevation that you're at and the temperature. So when we're at 5,000 feet at Sedona and you add hot weather, the density altitude is going to feel much higher. And the higher the density altitude, the worse our engines and normally aspirated aircraft there are going to perform. And with less performance means you need more runway length and more opportunity to climb before there's a mountain in your face.
Yes.
So a lot more pilot flight planning involved with airports like this, which is why this one is tagged as difficult. But we went on a kind of chillier day. We were wearing sweaters. It was what, maybe 65?
Yeah, so it was a great day.
But my point is, even with it chilly out, the density altitude was 6,000 feet.
It was still 6,000 feet, which is
Yeah.
crazy. Mojo is so used to Florida, right? Where we're zero.
We normally cruise at 6,000 feet.
So we're starting the takeoff roll, and when we did take off, Mindy and I briefed like, okay, if we're not airborne halfway down the runway, we're gonna abort. And I took note, and we definitely took at least an extra 500-600 feet on the roll to get airborne, which is exactly what we're talking about.
So if you fly into Sedona, make sure you fly in when the restaurant's open. Make sure that you stop in for lunch or something, because you guys, I'm sure you've been to these little airport restaurants where you fly in and it's so fun because you park your plane outside of the lunch cafe and you grab lunch and you have the shittiest burger you've ever had. And then you fly home in turbulence wanting to throw up the whole time. This is not the case.
No, this is a real place.
They have wonderful food. I got a sweet potato bowl. It had sweet potatoes with a bunch of vegetables and then 2 Wagyu beef burger patties.
Wagyu on the top of the mountain in the middle of nowhere. That's pretty great.
Really great, healthy, quality food. What I hate the most is flying into these little airport cafes and it's disgusting food. The experience, 10 out of 10, so fun. Food, usually 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
Especially for me, because I'm gluten-free. We know, we've talked
Definitely
about
a top tier restaurant, not even airport. Like the locals are eating there.
Yeah, that says a lot. And then we walked to this scenic overlook to go look down on the city, and you could see more of like the environment. So we walked over there, and then we flew home, and the flight home was much more smooth than coming in. Our turbulence coming in was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy, but the biggest difference is we had about a 45 knot headwind. So on the way there, we were like looking at Mojo doing 165 knots over the ground. At the way home, there was times where we were under 100 knots. It was like looking at our ETA. It didn't change. It felt like for 30 minutes.
I know, and you were over there like ants in your pants, and I'm like, Kevin, you need the hours.
I know, you're literally, you need a time build. I'm like,
I was like, we're literally doing this flight to time build for you, and you're upset that we're not having a smoke and ground speed.
I just like to go fast. I don't care how long we're going, but it's just like we're going 95 knots. I'm looking at the highway down below us, and the trucks are keeping up with us. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, I'm like, that's what you need right now. Like, we are on the road to 1,500, baby. Like, let's slow this thing down.
Oh my gosh. Well,
good.
I love Sedona. I'm really happy you got to go.
Me too. We'll have a YouTube video about it too.
You said we? Oh, that's nice of you.
Okay, I will have a YouTube video. If you guys haven't picked up, Kevin is a character in all of our
Only a
stuff.
character. I am not an influencer. I'm not a content creator. So any future employers listening, I am not that. I just show up.
Kevin is the personality pool. You show up for the personality.
The relatability pool.
Technology, not on your side. Editing, production, not on your side.
Thanks. Anyways, let's move on to some New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, New Year's resolution.
Why don't you start? What would be a resolution for you?
My first thought is I've been having a lot of conversations and putting plans in place to scale my businesses, which I'm really excited about. It's a big, scary leap for me to start to hire people, but that's my New Year's resolution, is to get comfortable with that. Start to hire a team. I'm at the point where I am at capacity on what I can take on. My aircraft sales work, plus this podcast, plus my personal social media, which is a business for me. I have sponsorships and paid collaborations that I keep up with on there. And then I like to fly professionally. So 3 of the 4 of those things need help. So that's my goal, is I want to create efficiency in my life. I want to create more systems. I want to hire a good team. I want to take care of other people and help impact their lives and grow other people's career. I think that gives me a lot of reward, and that's what I'm hopeful for 2026.
You can't grow unless you grow.
Yeah, it's just like scary to hire people and have people depend on you for paying their own bills, right? Yeah. But I'm going to do it.
You got this.
I'm ready for it.
I know you do. Speaking of growing, I would like to stop growing. I know it's cliche, but my resolution is definitely to start losing some weight and getting in shape. But the reasoning being is a little different than before, when I said the same thing every year. Is I have a different career, a different profession, and I'm sitting in these planes now for a long time. And what's happening is I have customers that are also large in the plane. And I've had issues where we are rubbing elbows for 4 hours at a time. I've had issues where we can't take as much fuel because of the weight I put on. And it's becoming something that is more than just a health thing, which obviously that's why I want to do it. But like, I need to do this for my career. Obviously I'm going to a jet soon, so the weight and balance is not that big of a concern, but sitting in a seat for 5-6 hours at a time is a concern, and not being in shape as a pilot is going to be a real issue for me. So I know it's cliche, but that is the goal.
Yeah, well, I know. I think the most important thing to a pilot's career is their health. Every single year, you have to look a doctor in the face and convince them that you are healthy enough to fly. And your appearance is a big influence on doctors, whether they would admit that or not.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is you go take an airline flight today or leaving home from your holidays and look at the pilots. 8 out of 10 are in shape. They might not be, athletes, but they're still in shape because they know that they have to.
And like, the annoying thing about this is it is so hard to stay in shape as a pilot.
Yeah,
I don't fly full time like a lot of you guys listening do. I'm not an airline pilot. That's not my day to day. I fly much more sporadically than a lot of other people, but I do fly trips. And when I'm on trips, it's really difficult. The food options that you're presented at airports are usually fast food. even if you go the healthy way and you get the burger with no bun, you're left with French fries on the side, or you might get a shitty side salad. It's tough to eat healthy. I bring a lot of my own snacks because of that, and I will skip a lot of meals and instead just eat beef jerky.
Yeah.
And then once you get to where you're going, your destination, you're tired, which to me makes my insides want to come outside, because my physical body is not tired, but my brain is. So when I get to the hotel room at night and it's, let's say, 8 p.m. and all I've done was sit in an aircraft cockpit all day and I've logged maybe 300 steps for the day, and then I lay in bed and I'm like, man, I'm so tired, but I feel like crap because my body hasn't moved. And it's so hard to get the motivation to go to the hotel gym at the end of this long day to move your body.
Yeah. Remember, I'm the relatability guy. I would love to get back into my baseball playing shape, but I also am realistic. I don't need to do that. I need to just get healthy enough that I can withstand what I'm going to put my body through, because I'm already doing it now. This past month, I know we've shared some of it. I have flown 108 hours in the month of December.
So think about the position of 108 hours of you sitting in a cockpit.
Correct.
The stress on your joints and your bones, and you working out and getting healthy. The best thing you can do is to have healthy, strong joints and have flexibility and have mobility. That's my New Year's resolution health wise, is mobility. I'm going to start following this YouTube channel program of just helping flexibility and mobility, because my joints are starting to hurt and I'm only 31 and I'm like, woof, if it's 31 and it feels like this, I really need to work on this.
Well, the other thing, like it's catching up to me. Like I don't want to say I'm sick, but I feel a little bit lethargic and I'm sniffly and everything, and my body's not able to fight off, the winter and all the stuff going around this town. So I know it's cliche, but that's the goal. Hopefully when you guys see me at Sun and Fun or Oshkosh, there's a little bit of a person missing there.
Let's go.
Anyways, let's read our reviews, because that is what we've been doing.
I love seeing the reviews. You guys are so kind to us, but also when you leave a review, it helps our show exponentially. Like, that is the way that new podcast shows and old ones get exposure to new viewers. So not even with our podcast, but if there's any podcast you listen to, just take 2 minutes to leave a review, because that's a free way to support the content that you're listening to for free. So creators, producers, hosts like us put so much work into it. And whoever you're loving right now, whether it be us or someone else, leave them a review, because it really helps them and it is absolutely free. So we're going to read the next 2 reviews on our list. Go ahead, Kevin.
All right, this one's from Lindsay D. The best kept secrets in aviation. The Captain John Doe podcast has quickly become one of my favorite weekly listens. Each episode offers fascinating behind-the-scenes aviation stories that you'd never hear publicly, all shared anonymously, which makes the conversations feel honest, unfiltered, and incredibly engaging. Whether you're interested in aviation or just love the good story, this podcast is fun, insightful, and full of personality with the hosts Mindy and Kevin. I look forward to every new episode and can't wait to hear more.
Aww.
Thanks, ChatGPT.
That's okay.
That's okay.
I use ChatGPT for everything.
Hey, we'll take it, though.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's a really kind review regardless. I love it. Thank you so much. And from Allison, the funniest aviation podcast. I love to listen to this while I'm flying, or possibly after a long day with a glass in my hand. It makes it all the more hilarious as I'm laughing out loud during this entire podcast. If I'm not laughing, then I'm clutching my pearls and gasping at the ridiculous things people do in the aviation world. Who knew there was this much drama? Love this podcast.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you, Allison. I agree. That's exactly the vibe we're going for. We want you guys just to be chilling and feel like you're in the hangar, having a beer with your friends, and you're like, they did what? And that's the comments we get on social media a lot. People that don't know our show will come across a clip of one of the stories saying, what the hell is this story? We're like, we say the same thing.
I don't know what it is.
We say the same thing every Wednesday.
Not believable.
Yeah.
AI.
Why would you guys make this story up?
Oh, we did it. All right. Well, I know we're running long, but it's New Year's Eve. So I wanted to hit this last topic. I know we're about to move on, but trips for 2026. What would be your bucket list trip?
For me?
I'm asking the listeners, but now I'm going to ask you. What is your bucket list trip?
I think we mentioned it last week. I would love to go to Alaska. That's been on my bucket list for so long because I'm obsessed with nature, wildlife, and flying, and Alaska brings all those three things together.
Simple enough. I agree. Well, thank you guys so much for all these reviews. We're reading them on purpose because they're meaningful and they're impactful. So make sure you guys keep sending them in. Keep sending your submissions in. That way we can do what we're about to do right now and read and react and laugh with you guys.
So remember, we've been talking about this for a few weeks, but we are doing a monthly merch giveaway all year long in 2026. One winner is selected on the fourth Wednesday of each month. You can enter for free by following us on Instagram. It's at Captain John Doe Podcast and engaging with our monthly giveaway post. You can check out the full rules on our website, CaptainJohnDoe.com. Leave us a podcast review, send us a DM, and that's a bonus entry now. There's no purchase necessary, open to U.S. residents 18 and older. Full rules on the website. That's also where you submit a story. Head to our Instagram for more. All the places. You won't miss it. So good luck. Hope you guys win.
All right. Let's get into our first story. So this title is First Solo. My name is Captain John Doe. We're not going to say his name. It was July 8th, 1981. And a very hot and humid day in Lincoln, Nebraska. I arrived at Lincoln Aviation Institute in the afternoon for one of my flying lessons with my flight instructor, Bud. We stayed in the pattern, shooting touch and goes for a few minutes. Then after the last touch and go, he told me to make this a full stop and that it was time for me to do my first solo.
Woo!
After I landed, I taxied to the ramp and Bud got out and he told me to do 3 touch and goes, then a full stop and tell the controller that this is my first solo. I taxied to the end of the runway and told the lady in the tower that this was my first solo. She wished me luck and cleared me for takeoff. It was in the upper 90s that day and very humid, and I was already dripping sweat. Shortly after I took off, I glanced over to the right seat and the strangest feeling came over me. Not seeing Bud sitting there, and that is when it hit me that it's all on me now. I had the pattern all to myself. My first landing I was not really proud of, but the last 3 were really great. The controller congratulated me, and then I taxied back to the ramp and shut everything down, and Bud was waiting by the wing for me, and when I got out, he gave me a gold wing for my shirt and a certificate that read in part that I had defied the law of gravity today. That was the proudest day of my life. I just turned 24 years old 3 days before I soloed. Unfortunately, I never finished to get my private pilot certificate. I was called away for a family crisis and never went back to flying, a decision I regret deeply. I'm still a lover of aviation, and I still look up when I hear a plane passes overhead. I got the flying bug when I was 5 years old, and I still have it. For anyone hearing this, please don't let anything get in the way of your dream of flying. I went to work that next day and was bragging about doing my first solo. My boss said he didn't get it. He said, "You can't even drive a stick, but you can fly a plane?" I don't get it. I told him that's because the plane didn't have a clutch. He goes on to say, "I really enjoy your podcast and I've followed many of your videos, Mindy. My all-time favorite video is when you and Steve-O took a brand new 2019 Cessna 182 Skyline to Lakeland Air Show.
Throwback.
If you and Kevin ever pass through Grand Junction, Colorado, I would love to meet you both and get a picture with both of you for my scrapbook."
Well, this really ties in with our story last week. If you guys tuned in last week, there was a Reddit post of a wife saying that she couldn't support her husband's dream of becoming a pilot due to financial stress, that she just didn't think that they could make it happen or didn't want to make it happen because of that long road ahead of them. take it from this Captain John Doe that he was so excited to get to his first solo, which is a major accomplishment, by the way.
Unbelievable accomplishment.
Think about how many people have ever flown an aircraft solo. It's not a lot. When you're in aviation, you think everyone has because you become so consumed in the aviation world and all your friends are flying jets and have ATP certificates and fly for Delta Airlines. But zoom out, like zoom way out, look at the world as a whole. Oh my God, there's not like such a small percentage of people that have ever flown a plane and then a smaller percentage that have ever flown solo. So first of all, congratulations on that huge accomplishment. I don't know how old you are. Well, I guess I could do the math. 24, 20. You're in your 60s, late 60s. It's not too late. It's not too late.
It's never too late. So I just did a little quick Google. About 20% of people who start training actually finish. So this story, a big reason why I wanted to read this is one, because of last week, and two, because this story is probably more similar than anyone else's story, is that they got through the hardest part. The hardest part is soloing.
After you solo, it's just like cruise control to PPL.
And then life happened. And that happens, right? It just does.
Oh my gosh. The amount of clients I have when I'm selling aircraft of people telling me that they're just getting back into aviation, that they learned to fly when they were 20 and they were obsessed with it. And then their business took off and then they had kids and all these things and they put down their wings for 30 plus years. And they're just getting back into it. And they regret all those years of not being in the aviation community. I understand it takes dedication to stay in aviation because you can't dabble in aviation.
No.
Right? You can't just fly once every 3 months. It's not a Sunday afternoon hobby that you can do every couple months and stay proficient.
There's a reason they use that proficiency versus currency over and over again. It is not something that you can just pick up and ride a bike, period. The other note that I took away from this is even though Captain John Doe is not flying, he is still completely saturated in this world. And this is where I want to give you a shout out because a lot of the things you do is resonating in people. And I really, really love that you post these videos. And even though it might just be me and you going to Sedona having fun, but this guy is watching that video, you know, being there with us, which is awesome. Like, it's incredible. That's why we have all these social media and podcasts. Like, you're not doing this because you want attention. You're doing it because you love taking pictures and videos, and it's authentic. And this story shows that there are a lot of people out there that can be a pilot vicariously through you, even though life got in the way.
Yeah, that's true. Well, if you find something you're passionate about, chase after it. There is definitely times and places where you have to take a break from the things you love for family crises, but hopefully you get back. Whoever wrote this, I encourage you to go hire a flight instructor and go up on a flight just for the joy of flying, even if it's one more time.
You should do it. It's, let's see, you're just under 70 by doing a quick little math. Go for it.
Go do it.
You're not even close to the oldest person that I've flown with this year.
Real quick. Yeah. Oh, I sell airplanes to people in their 80s.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a thing that should be happening, but I have multiple clients in their mid 80s flying airplanes. It's really hard to get insurance at that point, I'll just say. But anyway, one more thing, a little technical part of this was that on his solo, he did touch and goes.
I know. I forgot about that one.
Oh, I haven't.
It's a different time. It's a different time.
Yeah. So tell me how you solo someone. What's the process?
I would never.
Real quick, what's the process on a day of solo? You wake up, you get to the airport, they show up, you guys shake hands. What happens?
So I want them to give me a full weight and balance, a full weather briefing, full crosswind, all the data I need them to have done. Because if they are truly ready, they need to be able to do that work. So if they come prepared with that done, then I already know, okay, this is happening. Now, to a little backstory, where I've told them to do this, that soloing is on the docket. I always make it very clear that the day that we solo might be unknown. So we start with that, then we go out to whatever airport we're going to, and we're going to do 3 full stop landings. Together. The
You're
goal,
in the airplane.
that's it. And it's not them proving they can solo at that point. They already have my trust. It's more or less a warm up to see if that they are actually comfortable. And for me to see their look, like how they're controlling the airplane, how they're talking on the frequency, really is going to tell me everything they need. So after we get the 3 full stops in, if I feel they're good, I will always ask them the question, are you comfortable? And then I'll endorse them, hop out of the plane, and then I give them really simple instructions. Do the exact same thing we just did. So 3 full stop landings, taxi back, and then come pick me up.
Yeah.
That's it.
So yeah, full stop is full stop a legality on solo, or is that just highly recommended?
I think it's just highly recommended, because the whole idea is for the students not to be heads down doing flaps while they're on the runway.
Yeah, well, no, I understand why full stops are safer. I was just curious if that, I don't recall. I'd have to look back.
Honestly, I'm not sure on that question.
But your flight at school requires
correct
full stop on solos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, great story. Thank you for writing in. This episode is brought to you in part by Airplane Academy Private Pilot Flashcards. Charlie is a friend of ours. I filmed with him. He's a YouTuber as well at Airplane Academy. He has these beautiful private pilot flashcards that are all color-coded and help you study for your private pilot exam, for your flight reviews, for your check ride, your written test. They are amazing. They're even really great for CFIs to have in your bag and help to do ground sessions with your students. They are beautiful, over 5,000 sold with nearly 5-star perfect review ratings. So head to airplaneacademy.com/John Doe. Okay, into my story. I have something different for you.
Ooh, I like that.
So it's not exactly a story, but it's also a story.
Hit me with it.
It's not like this happened to me story. This is like what would you call like a tale, a fable? I don't know. It's a story. It's a story.
Is it a myth? Like, I feel like a fable would be like a...
No, I don't know how to describe it. You go
like a Bible fable or a...
Okay, you guys are going to understand it when I get to the end. You're going to be like, oh, I know what she was trying to say.
Okay.
I just think that this is a really great story to say after the last one, and also as we're headed into New Year's, to give people some pick-me-up and some motivation. Okay?
Okay.
One fine hot summer afternoon, there was a Cessna 150 flying in the pattern at a quiet country airfield. The instructor was bothered by the students' inability to maintain altitude and the thermals and was getting impatient sometimes, having to take over the controls. Just then, he saw a twin-engine Cessna 402 5,000 feet above him and thought, another 1,000 hours of this and I qualify for that twin charter job to be a real pilot going somewhere. The 402 was already late. The boss told him that this charter was one for the company's premier clients. He had already set MCT and the cylinders didn't like it in the heat of this summer day. He was at 6,000 feet and the winds were now a 20-knot headwind. Today was the 6th day straight, and he was pretty dang tired of fighting these engines. Maybe if he got 10,000 feet out of him, the wind might die off. Geez, these cylinder temps. He looked out momentarily and saw a Boeing 737 leaving a contrail at 33,000 feet in the serene blue sky. Oh man, he thought. My interview's next month. I hope I don't blow it. Out of GA, a nice jet job, above the weather, no snotty passengers to wait for. The 737 bucked and weaved in the heavy...
Clear air turbulence.
Thank you. I was like, cat. The 737 bucked and weaved in the heavy clear air turbulence at flight level 330. An ATC advised that lower levels were not available due to traffic. The captain, who was only recently advised that his destination was below RVR minimums, had slowed to LRC to try and hold off a possible in-flight diversion and arrange an ETA that would hopefully ensure the fog had lifted to Cat 2 minima. The company negotiations broke down yesterday, and it looked as if everyone was going to take a dang pay cut. The FOs will be particularly hit hard, as their pay wasn't anything to speak of anyway. Finally, deciding on a speed compromise between LRC, which is long-range cruise, and turbulence penetration, the captain looked up and saw a Concorde at Mach 2+. Tapping his FO's shoulder as the 737 took another bashing, he said, "Now that's what we should be on. Huge pay, super fast, not too many routes, not too many legs. Above the turbulence, yeah, what a life." Flight level 590, 59,000 feet, was not what he wanted anyway, and he considered flight level 570. Already the TAT was creeping up again, and either they'd have to descend or slow down. That dang rear fuel transfer pump was becoming unreliable, and the FE said moments ago that the radiation meter was not reading numbers that he'd like to see. The Concorde descended to flight level 570, but the radiation was still quite high, even though the NOTAM indicated hunky-dory below 610. Fuel flow was up, and the transfer pump was intermittent. Evening turned into night as they passed over the Atlantic. Looking up, the FO could see a tiny white dot moving against the backdrop of a myriad of stars. "Hey, Captain," he called as he pointed. "Must be the shuttle." The captain looked for a moment and agreed. Quietly, he thought how a shuttle mission, while complicated, must be the end-all be-all in aviation. Above the crap, no radiation problems, no dang fuel transfer problems. Ugh, must be a great way to earn a buck. The Discovery was into its 27th orbit, and pedigree was 200 feet out from nominated rendezvous altitude at the ComSat. The robot arm was virtually U.S., and a walk may become unnecessary. The 200 feet predicted error would necessitate a corrective burn, and Discovery needed that fuel if a walk was to be required. Houston continually asked what the commander wanted to do, but the advice that they offered wasn't much help. The commander had already been 12 hours on station sorting out the problem and just wanted 10 minutes to himself to take a leak. Just then, a mission specialist, who had tilted the telescope down to the surface of Earth for a minute or two, called the commander to the scope. "Have a look at this, sir. Isn't this the kind of flying you said you wanted to do after you finish up here with NASA?" The commander peered through the telescope and cried, "Oh, yeah. Now that's flying. Man, that's what it's all about. I'd give my left nut just to be doing that down there." The Discovery commander was looking at a Cessna 150 in the pattern at a quiet country airfield on a nice, bright, sunny afternoon.
Wow. All right. Let's just break this down for a second. So we started with the 150. Then we looked at a twin Cessna 402. Then we went to a 737. Mm-hmm. Then we went to the Concorde.
Yep.
Then we went to the space shuttle.
Yep.
Then we went back down to the 150. You know what that is called? The grass is always greener. That's what's going on here.
Totally.
This story needs to be read by everybody in any job. This can be said in anything.
So true.
I have had this come over me at times. This can
every day
resonate with me.
Oh my God, every day.
Not just in my current career, in as a controller. Is the grass greener as a pilot? Right now, is the grass greener as a airline pilot than a flight instructor? Like, constantly you're thinking there's something better. And how do we know?
Well, I think there's a fine line here on how to pick this apart. Obviously, the intention behind this story is that you should appreciate where you are. And there's always someone who's looking at you saying, man, I'd love to be in their shoes. And how you should appreciate where you are. And like, even if you're the pilot in the Cessna 150, there's some 10-year-old on the ground taking pictures, a plane spotter saying, man, I can't wait till I'm old enough to take flight lessons and I can be in that 150. So that's really cool. But however, I won't say that people shouldn't dream of the next job. You should be dreaming. You should be setting goals for yourself. You should look at the Cessna 402 and be like, yes, this is what I'm working towards. You shouldn't discredit where you currently are in order to dream for the next job. But I do think that there is a healthy habit of setting goals for yourself and looking out the window and being like, that makes me feel alive just to know I'm on the path to that.
100%. I think in our specific industry in aviation, we call this chasing metal. So what they mean is like chasing the bigger, badder plane. And there's a lot of old timers that are going to sit you down and tell you to stop thinking that way because your career will not pan out to what it is, what you want it to be. Because what you should be chasing is your personal ideal of what you want your best life to be. Now, if it entails flying a 747 across the world, sure, how do we get there? But if it entails I want to work hard and play harder, how do I get there? Right. You know, there's different perspective for everybody. But the biggest thing that I want to take away is that working is not everything. You know, like we just had this talk just before we started the podcast about how it's the end of the year and sales is crazy for you guys, but taking a step back and realizing where you are in the moment is more important than what's ahead. The
last thing I love about this story is how they describe the pilot of each aircraft was going through their own problems. That the Cessna 150 instructor was so annoyed with the thermals and correcting their student. And then they wanted the dream job of the 402 and they weren't able to manage their engine temperatures. And then the 737 was having problems with getting into their destination with weather minima. It's just like every pilot had their own problems they were dealing with, while someone else unknowingly was looking at them like, man, I'd love to be them. And they're like, you have no idea. Like, I'm dealing with a lot of shit over here.
All right. It's definitely a fable. It's definitely.
Okay, is that what you would call it?
Yeah, it's a fable. 100%.
Okay, I didn't know what to call it.
It's like the rabbit and the hare.
It's a story.
Or no, the tortoise and the hare. The tortoise and the hare.
The rabbit and the hare.
The rabbit and the hare.
Two rabbits.
Two rabbits, one hare.
Well, I just loved this story when I came across it because, again, coming into the new year, I think a lot of people are setting their job goals and their career goals and trying to scale the ladder, whether you're in aviation or you're at corporate, whatever, and just try to appreciate where you are while also making progress towards that next goal.
Well, I think that this was a pretty great episode for me as a listener of my own podcast. I just want to wish you all a very happy New Year's. This podcast is going to be here for the long run. We're going to keep on pressing the gas. We're not going to miss a week, which is really challenging, by the way, that we're figuring out.
Yeah.
Especially because we're in Orlando right now. So we're going to keep on pushing the gas. Chase your goals. My personal goal this year for 2026 is to be an airline pilot. I just got a little goosebumps right there.
Hell yeah. Can you believe that? That's going to happen this year.
I hope it does. Everybody, I hope whatever you guys put on your whiteboard happens. I hope that whatever dreams you have happen, take that flight, take the cruise, go fishing, spend time with your family, tell your wife you love her, tell your family you're proud of them.
Okay. So inspirational. Now we're like life coaches. Look at us.
What?
Well, on that note, stay the course. Direct, enter. We love you. Bye.
Thanks for flying with Captain John Doe. If you have a story to share, visit CaptainJohnDoe.com and stay anonymous. New episodes every Wednesday. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and tell your favorite crew members.